All right. Today we're here together to talk about Temu and how the e-commerce giant is taking the space by storm, especially thanks to its next generation manufacturing. Let me introduce myself. I'm Inès Durand, Senior Insights Manager at Similarweb French. Once again, for those who joined just slightly later, sorry for the strong accent. You may have seen my name by seeing the reports that were sent about the e-commerce space, the Prime Day state of e-commerce. So quite used to analyze the e-commerce space, and today I'm super happy to talk to you about Temu. So Temu, we're gonna split this webinar into three distinct parts. First, we'll have a go in an overview of the numbers of Temu, so the growth, the size, its consumers profiling, and its main competitors. Once we're done with this, we'll uncover its digital strategy, how it's acquiring customers online, and then we'll finish by unwrapping the Temu's secret weapon, which is the use of mass data and next generation manufacturing. So as I said, please don't hesitate to ask your questions in a Q&A box, and I'll happily answer them at the end of this session. So what are the numbers behind Temu? Temu, as you know, was founded in July 2022, is headquartered in Boston, however, belongs to Shanghai-based company PPC Holding. It entered the market in late September 2022, and in just a fraction of months, it became as popular on app as Facebook or TikTok. At these charts, we're looking at the monthly active users in the US for both iOS and Android, and we're seeing that it made a huge breakthrough in the app space, capitalizing obviously on its low prices. You know that we are in a cycle of inflation globally, not only in the US, also in other countries, and Temu pretty much came at the right time for that. Not only is growing on app, which is pretty much his main channel, it's also growing on web. So on this slide, we're looking at the converted visits indexed, converted visits indexed over time in orange, and the total traffic in blue. And what you're seeing is same as the app, very exponential growth. The player really took the market by surprise. Yes, the growth might slow down a little, as you can see in September 2023. However, we are still expecting the player to continue grow in the next few months. So now that we've seen, like, you know, basic metrics around, like we put the numbers behind all the articles you may have seen in the last month, let's have a look at what we're asking ourselves, which is customer profiling. So what do we see? It's very interesting when we're comparing the different channels of the app and the web, that a customer profile differs slightly by the channel, which obviously for you as e-commerce professionals has an implication on the go-to-market strategy and how you get to the consumers. So the app, and as well as desktop, is dominated by women at 54% of female users, which is much higher comparing, for example, to Amazon, which has only 43%. So age-wise, the usage is actually pretty balanced, hasn't changed much since the beginning. So it's about 20% for the 18 to 24, about 27% for the 25 to 34 years old, 1/3 for the 34 to 44 years old, and 21% for the plus 44 years old customers. It's pretty balanced, but knowing that Temu, I don't know if you've opened the app, really relies on, you know, the gamification of shopping. The usage is surprisingly low. However, for younger customers. However, we're seeing that still these customers have a high affinity with TikTok, with Amazon, Walmart, which shows like a pretty similar audience to Shein, for instance. When we're looking at very quickly at the website, it's used across all generation, but the customer profile looks slightly more similar to Walmart or Costco's rather than Shein. Something else as well that was crazy is that actually on websites, there is a higher share of 65 plus customers than Gen Z. So that was very striking when I looked at the demographics and the very diverse customer interests. But now that you know all about the demographics, let's ask ourselves probably one of the questions that brought you to this webinar today, which is, who is Temu competing really against? Let's have a look. So whose Temu's market share is stealing? Obviously, we are in the US. I need to talk about Amazon. So yes, Temu would like to go after Amazon, is going after Amazon. They have the similar target audience, which is everybody in the country. But actually, they don't really play in the same league yet. What we're seeing here is the audience overlap, so in unique visitors between Temu and Amazon, and we're seeing that 47 overall, like the numbers behind is 47% of Temu web users visit Amazon in the same day. However, only 2% of Amazon users will visit Temu in the same day. So pretty much we see that the reverse is not true, and that maybe like as the journalist said on this Washington Post article, on the right, the next Amazon killer is not really an Amazon killer, it's going to be a dollar store killer. So let's have a look at the other players that might be threatened or at least share some audience with Temu. So one interesting thing, we on the left-hand side on these charts, we try to overlap Temu, Shein, and AliExpress, which are three Chinese players with different business models, obviously. And what we found is that actually, like surprisingly, Temu was not significantly overlapped with AliExpress, even if they have a similar business model. Temu might take some market share away from Shein because they're trying to break into the social commerce. But they're also, as you see on the right-hand side of the screen, trying to they're actually stealing more audience from Walmart and eBay. So it's pretty much competing against the market share, but not there yet. It's not at the stage of Amazon. Basically, we still have a few more months to go before it happens. So now, the first part, if you remember, we looked at the basics, we looked at the size of Temu, the growth rate, the profiling, and now let's have a look at how they're acquiring customers and how what is our customer acquisition strategy online. Let's go. Up. So I don't know if did any of you watch the Super Bowl final? You can comment in the chat. Don't be shy. So I don't know. Some of you may have watched the Super Bowl, may have seen the adverts that I'm gonna play right now. I hope you can hear it. I don't know if you can get the sound. So what is interesting, I don't know, what are your thoughts? First and foremost, no sound. Okay, sorry, my bad. Okay, little technical problem. But in the worst case, I can just explain. It says it's a shopping app. It's an advert that where the singer sings around shopping like a billionaire, and it's emphasized multiple times. Why is it interesting? So I'm no advertising psychologist. However, with the shopping like a billionaire claim, uh, it 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 brings us to two things. First, the abundance, the fact that if you are using Temu, you're gonna feel rich because you're gonna afford a lot of products. Secondly, it also brings the fact that like billionaire is it was not a it was a obvious choice because the billionaires they wouldn't buy low quality products. So it's still saying yes, it's cheap, but it's not as crap as you as you may think, basically. And what is very interesting is even if we cannot, it's hard to measure directly the effect of Super Bowl advertising. However, we've seen a 17% increase in web traffic following the Super Bowl to Temu. Moreover, we've seen a 40% increase in app downloads week over week just after the Super Bowl. So very interesting. By the way, yes, the recording will be shared. Don't worry, I'm just going to answer that now. So now that we see that offline investment can actually be measurable online, we can see a correlation, right, between this Super Bowl ad and the data. And you know better than anybody that it's really hard sometimes to connect offline and online. And we'll show you how we can do it in the next slide. Oops. Yes, perfect. So Temu just got into the market, right? Like just less than a year ago. So here we're showing the Q2, so the quarter following the Super Bowl, vs Q1, the quarter of the the Super Bowl. And it makes sense that Temu was making a lot of investment at this time, to gain market share over players in the US. What we're seeing in this quadrant is that actually they've made a lot of investments in paid search, and there's the second biggest spender just behind Amazon. Better than Walmart, better than Costco, better than eBay. And we're seeing actually that they're spending slightly more here. If you can see it, I'm going to put it right. Temu is here. Here we're looking at PPC spend on the vertical axis. Then of the period of our period visits change on the horizontal axis. And they're spending just slightly more than Walmart here. However, they're growing more than six times faster. So talk about efficiency. That's really interesting. So we see that they're pretty much aggressive. They want to gain market share. And let's see now whether they're actually efficient once they bring this they make these investments into actually gaining customers. So Temu is heavily investing. You've seen online 14 million, offline $14 million at the Super Bowl. Online, let's have the number again, over 200 million in a quarter. So really, really big. Why? And because they need many customers to optimize their algorithm and then to use this data in the production cycle. So here we see that on the chart, we're seeing that Temu this is a period in unique visitors change, growing faster than everybody else in the competitive set, 50%, which is huge. So Temu, we can see, yes, they're recognizing they're actually deploying a high marketing budget at launch because this is the price they have to pay to get off the ground. And they're actually following the same strategy as Shein did or TikTok did when they entered the US market. So yes, audience is growing. However, audience growth, so customers growth, customer numbers growth, potential customer is really not the only thing they need. They need to monitor another very interesting KPI. Can you tell me maybe in the chat which one do you think it is? I can give you a few more seconds. If you want to participate, if you want to tell me what is the key metrics that Temu should care about besides for audience growth. So one of the key metrics that we really need to look at is not only so the number of customers that do one-time shopping, is the retention. Not only they need more customers to grow in revenue, they need them to come back, because their whole model is based on discovery shopping, right? With tailored product recommendations based on your previous searches, based on, like your customer segmenting, what do they think you'll be looking at this time of the year. And if consumers come back, then they can first increase the consumer lifetime value, but also leverage this data at scale to feed the NGM machine. And now what we're seeing here on this in this quadrant is that both on web and app, the retention is lower than average. They're benchmarking lower than all their competitors. On the web, on the left side, we're seeing that they're lowest in returning visitors. And on the right side, we're seeing that on the app, they're in the blue line about lower than targets in terms of like returning users after 28 days. So really low, and that's really something they should look at, and they're probably looking after. And how do they do that? They really experiment with customers' advocacy. So they make sure that, they give offers for people to come back. So they give offers to people. So these people give discounts to their friends, and then they can use it to the credit. And they're really using this machine to make these people like stick. And we're actually seeing quite huge traffic increase over the last 2 months over these kind of pages, which really shows how important it is for them to increase this customer lifetime value. So now that we had a look at, the marketing strategy, like the digital marketing strategy, like their acquisitions or their aggressivity, let's have a look at NGM. So Temu's secret weapon, the next generation manufacturing. Someone's telling me that the chat is disabled. I don't know if somebody from Similarweb can help me there. Otherwise, it's fine. We'll just use the Q&A section. Has people heard about next generation manufacturing before? You can send me your answers and I can read them out loud for everybody else if you want. Are you using NGM? Have you heard about it before this webinar? Some say yes. So why it's important? So Temu today fits perfectly in a perfect storm that is disrupting others. It understands very well the trends that are disrupting the whole market. They understand there is a cost of living crisis, consumers in the US and elsewhere being more price sensitive since 2022. Secondly, they understand sustainability is also a key trend. Younger consumers, especially, they're trying to balance between environmental friendly choices and their own needs. Thirdly, there is another trend to mitigate, Generation Z and Alpha, this on-demand generation that has a short attention span. They're very sensitive to gamification, which Temu or even Shein actually integrated in their model. And this generation is more focused on its own needs rather than the brand. And that leads us to several over trends that are heavily disrupting CPG brands for a while. You can tell me in the chat if that's something you can relate to, or you can think about over trends while I take a sip of water because my voice is broken. So I'm going to start, with the obvious story. That the biggest brands of the world have been disrupted right now. Private label brands have been known forever, but now they're kind of trendy. Now people don't hide themselves anymore when they buy them. Chinese competition has been started to be scary as the market digitalized and really stepped into the marketing tech. And lastly, we have the DNVB, the other startups that are capitalizing on micro demands before any big player will notice. So a lot of different challenges come from everywhere. And for years, the best solution to protect your market share was to be alerted to about all the big enough trends. So that's why now everybody has obviously a sustainability strategy, specific content for Gen Z and Alpha. And now that we enter the cost of living crisis, people like consumers, no, sorry, companies have been monitoring prices of their competitors more closely. However, these trends are very big already. We know about them. And what does NGM do? It actually allows you to track smaller trends. So let's have a look at that. So the most important question you should ask yourself when thinking about NGM is how can you track the micro trends hidden under the radar? And when does it make sense to capitalize on them? Should I make my business invest on them, even if it's very early stage? And how can we connect them with the first party data as well as macro level trends to build a clear strategy and at the same time deliver actionable insights to help you in everyday business decision? So what Temu did very differently is like you can think about it as a loop. With NGM, Temu is really facilitating this closed loop between consumers to manufacturers. It's a feedback loop. So first, in 5 stage, first, they collect consumer insights at scale, tracking live what consumers search for, what are their pain points, and what are their needs. For instance, they'll be tracking, and we'll see later down some examples. Am I looking for a red umbrella or a purple umbrella? Little data points, little nuances like that. Then this insight, and this is what makes a big difference between Temu and other retailers. These insights are not kept by the retailers and by the assortment team. These are shared to manufacturers for free. While some retailers, they even Amazon, actually can charge to have access to some data to the sellers on its platform. So then, as a first step, see that manufacturers, they know demand, they know what consumers are searching for. They only produce in very small samples, as you know, because it's a buy to order and not order to buy model. They can, produce a few, ship them. They don't pay for marketing costs or warehousing costs to the marketplace, and this results in lower prices for consumers. And this cost saving is really passed on, and then it makes Temu's products obviously more competitive than any other platform, and sometimes the same from the same manufacturers, right? So as a result, consumers are satisfied. They get trendy products at the lowest price at a fairly quick delivery time, as Temu uses a lot airplanes for its fast delivery. So if these consumer needs are fulfilled, they come back. So Temu collects more data, get to know them more, and consolidates its database and its knowledge to serve even better their customers. And this is a closed loop. So it's very, very interesting. Temu, when they come back, they already know what they'll be looking for in the next time. So now, so that's Temu scenario. We know that it's not always, this is their whole business model. It takes time to do some change on how you work with consumer insights. But the good news is, if you're alerted, if you track all the micro fastest growing trends, both from your data and from the market, you can react way faster. So some of our customers created a demand science team that is analyzing at scale on their own first-party data, as well as our data coming from Similarweb. So for instance, data on keyword searches, on-site search data, and category performance. So this is really how they can track and react faster with product innovations, marketing, and distribution strategies. So now let's have a look. Let's look beyond, your own data, you know what your consumers like. You don't know exactly the full picture. So let's imagine a perfect world where you can access to a near real-time online behavioral insights and act on them immediately, so you can capture consumer demand fast enough. Let's have a look at this through different examples of Temu and the Halloween season, because I know it's very big in UK and in the US. I don't know what my costume will be like. If you want to drop your best costume in the chat, feel free to do so. So let's get inspired by some examples. First, we'll look at consumer searches in Google and understand what was trending for Halloween this year. Then we'll have a look at on-site search within marketplaces to analyze how strong was the intent. And then we'll have a look at the costume traffic categories to understand who is winning the market on Halloween between Temu and, for example, Amazon in our slides. So let's have a look. So obviously, Halloween has been a traffic driver. So marketplaces, just like Christmas later in the year at this season. So search traffic in this case is a very good indicator of overall consumer preferences and stage of consideration. So here in this slide, you're looking at a bunch of Halloween related searches that go from Halloween to Halloween costumes to Halloween stores. So like Halloween decoration. So not very specific, but still gives you a first understanding of what people like. Are they looking for a cheap costume? Are they looking for decoration? Do they want inspiration for DIY or buy a very elaborated costume? However, if you want to go one level deeper, if you're on Amazon, if you're Spirit Halloween, you need to understand what is the most relevant for your category. And what is obviously the most valuable things to do is to get in-depth insights depending on what is trending. So now we'll have a look at, according to you, based on that, what do you think? You can drop me once again a message in the Q&A section. What do you think will be the most popular costume for Halloween? And I have the answer based on search, but I gave you a small tip in the article here, the pink Halloween. If somebody has an answer, be my guest. Okay, so hi Barbie. Hi Barbie, one of the top searchers. Don't lie and say that Margot Robbie did her job wonderfully. The top Google searches to predict the best-selling costume this Halloween. The winners are Barbie costume and Harley Quinn costume. So Margot Robbie, you should get some shares into Spirit Halloween and Halloween costume stores, definitely. Followed by actually Netflix series inspired costumes. We have Ted Lasso, we have Gomez Adams. And why is it interesting in the context of Temu and NGM? If we're looking at these top searchers, I started to perform them within a Temu search bar. So if you see the right-hand side of the slide, I only typed BAR, and what was popping up was like 2 days ago was already Barbie costume. First results, very efficient. I've performed the same. I was like, okay, Barbie, it was arguably the biggest success in cinema this year. I tried Gomez Adams, bit less, mainstream character. Only tap GOM, and already Gomez Adams outfits were showing up. Gomez Adams costume for men, costume for Halloween, and same with Willy Wonka. Willy Wonka, to be honest, yes, I had to do a bit to dig a bit deeper, but you can really see the power of search and integrating this Google search within your customer insights processes. Not only Google searchers are very interesting, but where you can like in terms of trends, predictions, but you can also analyze on-site searchers in terms of purchase intention and how. So here we are looking at top on-site searchers actually for Halloween at Amazon. So I did this exercise as if I were a Temu customer insights person. And I performed different searches. So for Halloween, I found a very generic search term. I found it was one of the most searched term here on the left. However, it only had a 56% click-through rate, which means the search was pretty much in a discovery mode, and there was a vague search. It was very vague, and it was displaying a low search intent. Then we get into very slightly more specific searches, Halloween decorations. So, at this stage as a customer, I'm already thinking, okay, I want to decorate my house. But what are my options? Pretty much, I don't know if I want inflatable witch. I don't know if I want fake spider nets. So the search is more precise and it's tending towards the evaluation mode, have 84% click-through rate. However, one step further down the search journey, we're looking at Halloween inflatable. It's way more specific. Well, maybe I could even go skeleton inflatable and so on, but you get the idea. And at this time, we see a lower amount of search volume, but way higher click-through rate. We've seen that users on average click on different results, which means a high purchase intent, and which means that it's very important actually to look at the specificity of searches to understand and prioritize this trend. So I, as Temu, should I is a Halloween inflatable more important than Halloween than a Halloween spider nets, for instance? And this is where you'll do that. You'll compare different intents. Lastly, not only it's interesting to look at the search data, but also to understand through custom traffic categories how your competitors are performing and to really get into your competitors' first-party data. So here I built 2 custom categories, one for Amazon, one for Temu around Halloween. And we're seeing that overall, Amazon, yes, is growing year over year, but not as fast as if Temu was not in the market. And Temu is taking its share. So still like 10% lower, only 10% of Amazon's total Halloween categories in traffic. However, we're seeing a 27% time increase in converted visits. So really, really big. And if I wanted to go one level down, I will have analyzed Temu's product pages if I were an Amazon category manager, to really understand what are the ones that are driving the most traffic. And which means what are the products that are the most popular within this category, to make sure I'm not missing on opportunities to monetize this demand, even if it's, according to me, very small, because you never know what is trending at your competitors, and you might be, doing the wrong promotion, and you might be missing out. You might think we all have bias into what consumers are interested in, hence why it's important to get out of your own only first-party data and to extend it to your competitors' first-party data. So to wrap up, Temu has an incredible product market fit, responds really well to consumer pain points. We've seen that, it influences very well to the key trends today, which is, cost of living crisis, the sustainability, because, not too many goods will be wasted and burned into after they're thrown out of warehouses. Secondly, we can see that competitors will be indeed heavily disrupted if they don't really adopt the same holistic approach in consumer data usage and audit for themselves. And lastly, to maintain and improve long-term retention, something Temu should be careful about is still put customer satisfaction as the top priority, as it doesn't want to end up like the platform wish, because I can cover maybe in the Q&A if anybody has question about that. So then I wrap up the section to really just on these key points and how Similarweb can help you compete in a world full of disruption. 3 points to monitor is the benchmarking of your digital performance against your competitors on all channels. Then really using the digital data to maximize the customer acquisition, monetization, and retention, once again, against your competitors, and win your market across all channels. And then the last one is really to track. Thanks to Similarweb, as you've seen during this presentation, you can really track digital signals to uncover and capitalize on these new customer needs in line with the next generation manufacturing. So thank you very much for being here with me today. I had a lot of fun preparing this presentation, delivering it to you. So now I'm open to answer some of your questions. I'm gonna And I'm gonna start with the first question from Schuster Moritz. How are these growth rates related to Shein? I'm happy to answer to you in just a second. But basically, what I remember when I recently studied Shein is that Shein is growing, but it's not growing as fast as it was because obviously it's more established in the market. So Shein is now the one of the first like top 5 retailers at least across all generations in the US. And I can get you the growth rates in a second. So it's from Sylvia Delgado. Hi, sorry, I missed. I'm gonna actually answer live. I think I have the option to do that. I missed the beginning of the meeting. Is the 40% in app download week on week for Temu only for the US? Indeed. So all this presentation is US only based. However, as you know, we could have the same data. I could run exactly the same presentation for all the markets. Temu is, and so we could have run this analysis for the UK, for Italy, for a lot of different markets. So one more question: how does Temu conversion compare to Amazon within the Halloween category? So actually, that was quite interesting. We're seeing that Temu actually is converting better. Is converting better than Amazon on the Halloween category. And why? It's because it's as I mentioned, most of the product recommendations are based on your previous searches and searches in Temu. It's I know that Amazon is also trying to reproduce this kind of interactive shopping experience. But that's why we're explaining a higher conversion rate on top searches, Halloween searches for Temu than Amazon. So do you have a sense of Temu category mix? How do they index over marketplaces? So, but like from our preliminary data, it's like I cannot answer the over marketplaces that actually can do nice follow-up analysis, but we can do with a segment analysis. But what we're seeing is a lot of the traffic goes to home and kitchen, home and garden accessories. That's why actually some of the journalists were saying that he was competing strongly with dollar shops. However, they're also trying to get into, for example, jewelry, fashion accessories, a lot of dupes. So I'm really looking forward to see how we can monitor it more closely in the future and really do some more analysis on the categories. And one question as well: do we know how Amazon is responding to the Temu threats? Yeah. So I mean, I'm not within the Amazon's strategy team, but what we know is that they're trying to, as well as as I mentioned, Temu is doing this recommendation based algorithm and like this gamification. They've been trying to do this kind of actions where they suggest a bit more results on the homepage based on not on a search page, sorry, based on your previous searches. So they're trying to do it. Don't think they're at that stage yet. They also have like one part of their business is selling data, sales data to their sellers. So it's a bit different. It's a bit of a different business model. And the sellers are not the manufacturers. Like a lot of them are drop shippers on Amazon or like intermediate sellers. So we'll see how they do it because like they obviously get some revenue from this data. So we'll see that shot them in the feet. And how does Temu warehousing and logistics model compare to Amazon? Does it have an edge over Amazon on logistic costs? So indeed, let me come back to one of my slides. So if you're looking at the step 4 of the NGM, this is actually one of the things that makes Temu so cheap. So think about it. Temu, like it's not it's not a department store. This is like low prices items. And why do they do that? Like it's the same manufacturers as over marketplaces. Where they cut the price premium is that manufacturers, because they don't know how, like for over vendors like Amazon, they don't know how much they need to produce, what they need exactly to produce. Maybe there is an attribute, like small attribute, like colors. They don't know what color is trendy. And because they don't know it, they might overproduce this kind of this kind of uh, this kind of items. So where Temu comes in play is that whenever an item is shopped, it's made to order, and what they do, they spend more than Amazon on shipping costs. I mean, I don't know exactly, but I believe they do. They might spend more on shipping costs because they use a lot airplanes. However, they do even out with warehousing. They have little to no warehousing cost. No, not at all, but they have very lower, and they have almost no inventory waste. So that's where it really differs, and it's really interesting to see. Roughly, and one question, and then I think, I mean, keep them going. I still have some time. Roughly, how cheap is Temu comparing to Amazon products in percentage terms? So we know exactly. Know exactly. Uh, I'm not able to answer this with an exact percentage. We do have the data actually at Similarweb. We do scrap product page prices, so I believe that's something can maybe conduct at a wider scale. But I will say, from my personal experience, very cheap, very cheap. A lot of items are priced below $5, and that's what the journalist in the article of the Washington Post called it the dollar shop killer. So I think that tells you a lot about the pricing range. It's really much cheaper. So yeah, I think I answered to all the questions. So hopefully obviously we'll be sharing the recording and the deck with you. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me on LinkedIn or by email. If you have any questions, that was a big pleasure to have you today. Really thank you for the turnout, and hope you're having a good day.